Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis for 25th of June 2021. Now let us quickly see the topics that we are going to cover during the day. We are going to understand about these 5 topics. The first 2 topics are important for the prelims examination and the next 3 topics are very important for your mains examination. Okay. So these topics are taken from these page numbers of the Hindu newspaper. Okay. So now let us quickly go and see the first topic for the day. Okay. So let us read the heading. It says monsoon to be weak till July. Okay. So this particular topic is very important from geography point of view that talks about weather and monsoon. Okay. So what has happened in India, we have an organization. Name of the organization is India Meteorological Department. Okay. Name of the organization is India Meteorological Department, and this particular organization forecasts the kind of rainfall that India may witness in near future. Okay. So it does these kind of forecast on the basis of long period average. Okay. That is in short known as LPA. What do we mean by long period average? Long period average means generally like over the last 50 years, what was the average rainfall that we have witnessed in India. Okay. So using that long period average and various other similar indicators, the India Meteorological Department forecast that what is going to be the likely rainfall in the near future. Okay. So recently the India Meteorological Department had predicted that like India may witness more than average rainfall, but the current scenario seems to be little different. Okay. So in today's the Hindu newspaper there were these 2 graphs. Okay. So I am going to make you understand what these graphs actually represent, and apart from this we are going to understand few other current developments with respect to this topic. Okay. So this particular graph talks about the rain check, means like we are checking how much rain is happening. Okay. So let us first understand the context in which this article was there in news, then we are going to analyze this particular graph that we have. Okay. So the context is that the monsoon rainfall, which was 40% above normal from June 1 to June 18, 2021. Okay. For the 18 days the rainfall was 40% above normal. Okay. But it has reduced. Okay. The rainfall has reduced to trickle over the previous week, means like in the last few weeks, in the last 3 weeks, approximately like in 18 days the rainfall was 40% above normal. If the normal was 100, then the rainfall was 140. Okay. But after the 18th of June the rainfall has gone to decline. It has reduced little bit. Okay. So the latest data, the latest update from this India Meteorological Department computes the monthly rainfall until June 24 to be just 26% of the normal, and there is unlikely to be a significant boost until the first week of July. So here the India Meteorological Department says like for 1st to 18th of June we have seen 40% above normal rainfall, but 18 June onward, 18th to 24th of June, we have seen that the rainfall was just 26% above normal. And India Meteorological Department says that in the near future, in the coming future, this particular rainfall, okay, this rainfall may see little hike, but it will happen only in the first week of July. Okay, it is not going to happen in the near future, in next few days. Okay. So now let us understand these 2 graphs. Okay. So in these graphs, this particular axis is known as x-axis. Okay. X-axis. Okay. So x-axis represents the day. Okay. Like June 1 to June 30 means like over the last 30 days. Okay. What was the rainfall? So this is the time period. Okay. This is the time period. And if we talk about y-axis, this particular axis is known as y-axis. Okay. y-axis represents the actual amount of rainfall in millimeter, okay. So 20 millimeter, 60 millimeter, 100 millimeter, 140 millimeter and 180 millimeter. So it represents rainfall, okay, rainfall in millimeter, okay, in millimeter. It represents, the x-axis represents the days, okay, like date or time, okay. So if we just calculate, like if we predict the normal rainfall, okay, taking into account the long period average, then the normal rainfall till 18th of June should be 121.2 millimeter, but it was witnessed that the actual rainfall was 152.2 millimeter, okay. So this green graph that you can see over here, this green graph actually represents the actual rainfall that has happened, okay, during this particular period, like 1 to 24th of June. Today is 25th of June, so the data is available till 24th of June. So this particular thing represents that like we have witnessed more than average rainfall, okay. So for the entire duration, the rainfall was 26% above normal, okay, 26% above normal. So we have understood the first part of the graph. Now let us understand the second part of the graph, okay. Second part of the graph talks about cumulative rainfall, okay, which is departure from the normal, okay. First graph talked about cumulative rainfall in millimeter for 2021. Second graph talks about cumulative rainfall, which is as percentage of departure of from normal, okay. Departure means if there is a normal rainfall, let's consider 100 millimeter, okay, over the last 50 years. Now if we see some spike, like if we see higher rainfall or if we see lower rainfall, in both the cases the trend is departuring from the normal rainfall. So here we have witnessed more than our more than normal rainfall, okay, in the first 24 days of June, okay. So what percentage of departure we have seen? So again, in this particular graph, the x-axis represents the time period, okay. This x-axis represents, okay, time period, okay, from 1st June to 30th June. Again, y-axis represents the average rainfall, okay. Y-axis represents the rainfall, okay, in millimeter. So here what was the percentage departure? The departure was 26%, okay. The departure was 26%, okay, here. So this is all that we have to understand from this particular slide. We have one more slide where we are going to discuss about the current trends of rainfall, okay. So the India Meteorological Department says that like although most part of India has received rainfall during this particular monsoon season, okay, in the first 24 days of June month, okay, but like there are many parts in country, especially the western, northwestern part of Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana and Punjab, and these places have not witnessed any rainfall, okay. So and this is an unusual trend, okay. So usually what happens, unusually for this period, the monsoon has progressed to eastern, central and adjoining northwest India earlier than normal by 7 to 10 days. They are saying like in earlier situation, we used to witness that like from 7 to 10 days, the rainfall used to progress in the northwestern part of India as well, apart from other parts of India like central India and northeastern part of India. But like this year, like we have witnessed very less rainfall in the western parts of India, western parts of especially these states, okay. So rainfall activity is likely to increase over the most part of the country after the first week of July. Now they are predicting that after the first week of July, we may witness more rainfall in the western parts of the country, okay. So this is all that we have to understand from this particular topic. What you have to learn from this particular article is you have to learn what is long period average, okay. You have to learn what is long period average. You have to understand how do we predict the rainfall. India Meteorological Department is an organization in India that officially predicts the rainfall for India, okay. So having understood this, now let us take another topic, okay. This topic is important for the prelims examination and this is under environment and ecology section, okay. So let us read this particular topic. It says, outrage over felling of heritage pine trees for road in Meghalaya. Okay, so Meghalaya is a state in India. It is a state in northeastern part of India. Okay, there in the state of Meghalaya, and especially in the capital of Meghalaya. Okay, so there was a place, okay, where the government officials have cut down huge number of trees along the roadside, and these trees happen to be the heritage trees for this particular state. Okay, so these trees are considered to be one of the significant part of this particular state, and especially the locality from where it has been cut down. So what has happened, many environmentalists have raised, okay, their voices against the cutting or felling down of trees. Okay, and they have taken pictures of the places from where trees have been cut down. They have taken videos and they have uploaded it on the internet. So what has happened, so many people have come together and they have said like the government, the state government is doing wrong. Okay, so the state government has intervened, and the state government has directed this particular authority, which is known as National Highway Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, okay, to halt, okay, to halt the chopping until the government finds a solution. Okay, so this particular authority was actually involved in cutting down of all the trees, okay, along the roadside. Why they are cutting down those trees? Because they want to widen the roadways. Okay, so there is a highway that passes through, but that highway is very narrow. Now they want to widen the road, so they are cutting down very old trees. Most of these trees are more than 100 years of old. Okay, so that's why people are raising their voice against this particular thing. Okay, now what has happened, the state government says that they have, state government and especially this particular authority, which is National Highways Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited. Okay, this authority and the state government says that they have received prior clearance from the Environment Ministry. Means the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has given a clearance to this particular project for cutting of trees, and that's why they have started cutting trees, so that like they can widen the road. But this particular thing is not being digested by environmentalists, because they are saying that like you cannot chop off the biodiversity of a particular place just for development of a particular road. Okay, so that's why these environmentalists and NGOs have asked that we would like to know if the government followed Indian Forest Act, Biodiversity Act and the Meghalaya Forest Regulation Act before the trees were hewn, means before the trees were cut down. Okay, so that's why this article becomes important. You might have noticed that UPSC has asked multiple questions from different kind of varieties of trees, like what is the weather requirement, what is the what should be the rainfall, what should be the temperature, and how old a particular tree grows in a particular region. Okay, so that's why this particular tree, which is pine tree, it becomes very important. Okay, pine tree becomes very important for you to do more research on this particular topic. You should understand where do we find growth of pine trees. We find pine trees in Himalayan regions and like northeastern parts of India. What is the rainfall requirement? What is the weather condition in which these trees grow? Okay, this is very important for you. Okay, you should remember this particular topic. Okay, and today we are going to cover one specific question in our previous the UPSC prelims previous year question analysis. One question is specifically related to this particular topic that has been asked by UPSC way back in 2012 or 2016. We are going to see that thing. Okay, so having understood this, let us take the next topic for the day. Okay, this topic is very important from means point of view, UPSC means point of view under Indian polity and governance section, and it is also important under Indian society section, where we are going to understand about the rights of the prisoners. Okay, so this article talks about protecting prisoners' rights. Who are prisoners? Those people who have been sent to jail. Okay, people who are staying in jail, they are considered as prisoners. Okay, so this particular article talks about the rights of those prisoners. Okay, so it says that overcrowding in prisons has put several inmates at risk of COVID-19 infection and death. Okay, so what is happening in Indian prisons? Most of the Indian prisons are overcrowded, means like they have inmates more than the sanctioned capacity of people like who can be put in a particular cell. And especially like if we talk about Tihar jail, okay, in Tihar jail like they have a limited capacity, but the number of inmates who have been put inside the jail is almost double the sanctioned strength. Okay, so what it does, like if any one person gets infected because of COVID-19, everyone inside the cell, okay, risk having having or contacting COVID-19, and many people may die. Okay, and the current situation is that like many inmates in many jails in India have died because of COVID-19. So it is very important that we should relook into the conditions of prisons in India, and like those people who are under trials, means those people who are not convicted of any offense, they should be released from the prisons as soon as possible. Okay, and those people should be tried as soon as possible, means like there should be a speedy trial to ascertain whether a person is guilty or not guilty. If a person is not guilty, he should not be put behind the bars, because like once he is put behind the bars, he himself is at risk of COVID-19. Okay, and along with him many other prisoners will be at risk of lives. Okay, so that's why recently there has been many development in this particular issue. What has happened that like many political prisoners are being put behind the jail, okay, by the existing government, by different state governments. Okay, political prisoners are those people who have a different viewpoint about the state of affairs in India at this point of time. So they may not have committed a serious crime at this point of time. Okay, they might have been taken into custody by the authorities just on the pretext that these people might commit some kind of offense in near future. Okay, so you might have noticed that National Security Act is being applied by the authorities irrationally to put behind bars those people who have just criticized the government at various levels. Okay, so here this particular article analyzes the state of affairs in prisons in India, and at the same time this article also suggests what should be done, okay, by the governments, by the courts, so that like we can maintain the human rights of those people who are under trials, those people who have been sent into the jails. Okay, so people are sent into jail just to reform them. Okay, we are sending people to jail to serve the period for which they have committed a crime, and the jail experience also helps them to reform. Okay, sending someone behind the jail does not say that you can curtail all the fundamental rights from that particular people, from those people. Okay, so fundamental rights are also available to the inmates of the jail authorities. Okay, so this particular article talks about the poor state of prisons in India. Okay, and it talks that like like if many people are dying inside the prison, then what it is doing, it is violating the provisions of Article 21 of the Constitution of India that talks about right to life and personal liberty. Okay, so here we need to maintain the right to life and personal liberty of those people who are put behind the bars. Okay, so overcrowded jails are a violation of the human rights. Okay, so if you are having overcrowded jails, that itself is a violation of the human rights, okay, of prisoners. And if we read the provision of inhuman conditions in 1982 versus the state of Assam in 2018, okay, so this particular document talks about this issue. And the court has said in this particular thing, Charles Sobraj versus Superintendent of the Central Jail Tihar, that imprisonment does not spell farewell to fundamental rights. Means like if a person is imprisoned, it does not mean that his fundamental rights are said goodbye. Okay, his fundamental rights will still be available. Okay, so the aim of imprisonment is not merely deterrence of crime, okay, but also reformation. Apart from risking the lives of inmates, ignorance of the poor conditions of the prisons has also added to the misery of the families of those in jail. Okay, so those people like who have been imprisoned, their families are also suffering, because like they are now worried about what will happen to our family member who is inside the jail, because the jails are overcrowded. Okay, and proper health conditions are not being like checked on a timely basis inside the prisons. Okay, so this violates the human rights, and Supreme Court of India has recently said and Supreme Court has ordered that prisons should adopt video conferencing technologies to overcome the lack of physical meetings. Okay, as you know, like physical meetings are allowed to the inmates of prisons on a regular basis. Okay, so that physical meeting is allowed, but like the state of affair is that like because of COVID-19, the physical meeting has been suspended by most of the jails in most of the states in India. So that's why Supreme Court has ordered that video conferencing facility should be enabled. Okay, but Amnesty International reports that like this particular provision of the Supreme Court of India has not been implemented properly. Okay, so this is the thing. And when we talk about political prisoners are not the actual they are not the actual criminals. I mean, they did not do any criminal activity. They have just raised their voice against some of the some of the things that the government has done improperly. So they have criticized, and so political prisoners should not be kept behind the bars for a long time. Okay, so there are many political prisoners in the state of Kashmir. Okay, and these many of those political prisoners have been languishing behind the jails because they are under trials, and the trial is not happening on a speedy basis. Okay, and if we talk about Article 14 Clause 3 Subclause C of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Okay, this is a very important topic, because like in prelims examination many a times the UPSC has asked about several provisions related to similar international laws. Okay, so you might have heard about UDHR, okay, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, UPSC has asked multiple times questions from the same topic in different years, okay, in prelims examination. Okay, although the topic that we are analyzing is very important for the mains exam, but there are some topics that are also important for the prelims exam. So you should look into this particular thing, which is International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Okay, so Article 14 Clause C, Clause 3 Subclause C of this particular right, it says that an accused has the right to be tried without undue delay. Okay, if a person is accused, so that accused has a right to be tried before a court of law without undue delay. So if you are delaying, you are keeping that particular person behind the bars, and it is similar to serving the prison terms, okay, without actually like committing the crime. Okay, so in India or in elsewhere around the world, it is considered that a person, if he has not been proved guilty in a court of law, he will be considered as innocent. Okay, until a person is proven guilty, okay, by a court of law, he will be considered as innocent. So for that purpose, fair and speedy trial is a must. Okay, that should happen on a a speedier basis. Now let us understand some other parts also. The state is bound to provide legal assistance to prisoners, ensure their safe and timely release, and safeguard their rights to a fair and speedy trial. Okay, this particular observation was made by a court of law in the Husainara Khatun versus Home Secretary of the state of Bihar in 1979. Okay, but this is not the reality for a large number of prisoners in India now. Okay, taking cognizance of this issue, the Supreme Court of India has directed that the states should examine releasing the inmates convicted or facing trial on a non-serious charges from jails to jails either on regular bail or on payroll. Okay, so the Supreme Court of India has directed the state governments that like those people who are not charged of serious crimes, okay, they should be released, okay, either on the basis of bail or on the basis of payroll on a speedy basis, so that like they do not risk contacting COVID-19. Okay. It also directed them to provide transport facility to the prisoners to reach home. Okay. And it is hoped that the states will comply. Some have said that they have begun reviewing the present occupancy. Okay. So that's the thing. So state governments, some of the state governments have responded to the directives of the Supreme Court of India. Others are yet to take a call on this particular issue. So this is a very, very important topic, okay, for the mains examination. In your free time, you should revise this article so that you will be able to write an answer related to, conditions of prison in India. Okay, so now let us take another topic for the day. This topic is important under UPSC mains examination under the international relations section. Okay, what is the heading of this particular article? It says staging a comeback. Okay, staging a comeback, re-energizing India's Africa policy. Okay, so this particular topic talks about India's policy and India's diplomacy towards Africa. Africa is a continent having more than 50 countries over there. So with many of these countries, India already have a good relation. Okay, and India needs to strengthen its relation with most of the countries with which it has developed diplomatic ties. But the situation is that because of COVID-19, India as well as African countries have been struggling in their own home to survive the COVID-19. Okay, so India was better placed to deal with the COVID-19 at various levels, but the grim reality in case of African countries is that there was an international study by the World Health Organization, and this particular study suggests that if we put in on an average, most of these countries, most of the countries in the African continent do not have more than 2,000 walking ventilators. Are you understanding? What we are talking about ventilators, oxygen supplying instruments. So a particular country does not have more than 2,000 such instruments. How will it be able to tackle health conditions of its people when people are impacted by COVID-19? Okay, so in that particular situation, what has happened? The Chinese government has come forward and it has sent many vaccines to different African countries. So Chinese government has taken a proactive step in building its relationships by providing timely assistance to African countries, but India has failed to do so. Okay, so India needs to rebuild its ties with African nations. Okay, and this has been highlighted by recent visit of India's External Affairs Minister. Okay, who is the India's External Affairs Minister? Mr. S. Jaishankar. Okay, so Mr. S. Jaishankar has recently visited some of the African nations in the month of June itself. Okay, and that particular recent political visit actually revives India's ties with the African nations. Okay, now we need to do more so that we can strengthen our relation with African nations. Okay, so in that perspective, this article was written by one of the former ambassadors of India who has served in many countries in the African continent. Okay, this article is very important for you to revise and read because it will help you to understand the foreign policy stand of India for African countries. Okay, India already had summit level talks with the African countries in the year of 2015, but the next or the fourth round of summit was about to happen last year, but because of COVID-19 that has not been conducted. So what we need to do? We need to conduct that particular thing either virtually or physically. If it is not possible to conduct the summit at a physical level, we can still go ahead with a virtual conference with these African nations. Okay, to keep the ties at its level high. Okay, so this particular article is rightly written by the ambassador. Okay, in a very very good manner, and this article talks that Africa is considered as a foreign policy priority. Okay, so Africa is considered as a foreign policy priority by India. Okay, so the present government which is in place, it has a forward looking strategy to deepen relations with African countries. Its implementation was managed quite well, with much political will invested in expanding the multifaceted engagement. But now the policy implementation needs a critical review. Okay, so before COVID-19, the policy towards Africa was forward looking. Okay, and like we were, we were investing our resources in Africa, and we had a multifaceted engagement with African nations. But during COVID-19, that has not been, maintained. So that's why we now need to, relook into, we now need to do a critical review of this particular stand. Okay. So the latest economic data confirms what was apprehended by the experts. India-Africa trade is on a decline. Okay. So the experts are saying that India-Africa trade is on a decline now. Okay. So that's why we need to have a relook into that policy. And this topic again is very important for prelims as well, because in the recent years the UPSC has asked what is the external trade of India with respect to this particular country. Okay. So there was a question in prelims that talked about external trade of India with Bangladesh. Okay. Similarly, there was question external trade of India with China. Okay. So we may expect a similar question for Africa as well in the prelims. Okay. And in mains, this is a very holistic topic. So you should read this topic again and again to actually memorize some of the important things that are highlighted. Okay. This particular article has been written by a very credible source, one of the foreign one of the ambassadors of India. Okay. So this India's top 5 markets today are, if we talk about India's top 5 market in African continent, they are South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya and Togo. Okay. So these countries are market for India, means we are exporting our goods into these countries of Africa. Okay. And the countries from which India imports are the most are South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Angola and Guinea. Okay. So these are those countries from where India imports most of its goods. They are South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Angola and Guinea. Okay. So India's top 3, okay, India's top 3 exports to Africa are, so this particular point actually talks about those goods or products that are being exported to Africa or that are imported from Africa. That is very important. Okay. On similar themes, we have seen questions in prelims with reference to Bangladesh. Okay, in 2020 itself, I guess. Okay. So you should just relook into similar questions. India's top 3 exports to Africa are mineral fuels and oils. Okay, top 3 exports. One of the export is mineral fuels and oils. This is one category. Okay, it can be categorized as processed petroleum products. And apart from this, we are also exporting pharmaceutical products and vehicles. Okay, these are the top 3 exports to Africa. Okay, top 3 exports from India to Africa. What are they? Mineral fuels and oils. These are also known as processed petroleum products. Then we have pharmaceutical products and vehicles. These are the top 3 items that are being exported from India to Africa. Okay. Then mineral fuels and oils, essentially crude oil. Okay. And pearls, precious or semi-precious stones are the top 2 imports, accounting for over 77% of our imports from Africa. Okay. So the top 2 importing items that India is importing from Africa are these 2. Okay. Mineral fuel and oils. Okay. Mineral fuel and oils consists of one category of goods, and second is pearls or precious stones or semi-precious stones. Like mineral fuels and oils are being imported, and apart from this, we are importing the precious stones from Africa, and these 2 goods consist of more than 77% of total import from Africa. Okay. The composition of the India-Africa trade has not changed much over the 2 decades. Okay. So when we talk about total composition of trade between India and Africa, the composition has not much changed over the last 2 decades, means like over the last 20 years. The the trading items or composition in the trade activities between India and Africa has not changed much. Okay. Now if we talk about Africa, there a global competition is being witnessed in Africa, where multiple countries from around the world, they are competing with one another to do trade with Africa and build ties with Africa. One of the most competitive player for Africa is China for India. Okay, so China is a competitive player for India. Okay. China has invested much more than what has invested in Africa. Okay, and apart from this, like European Union countries are also very much competitive in this case. But like there are two things. Okay, there are two broad developments. Okay, that should reassess the relationship with Africa for any countries. One of the development is COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19 means like COVID-19 has brought a huge misery for Africa. Why? Because like it has led to thousands and thousands of people being killed in Africa because of COVID-19, and those people did not have the technological know-how, and they did not have the available technologies to provide timely care to its people, okay, to safeguard. And India was also not able to support Africa in the times of need. Okay, and China has come forward to support many of the African countries. So it is a state of affairs that India needs to relook. Why? Because India wants to deepen its ties with Africa to have a greater and high relationship with African countries. Okay, so a recent World Health Organization survey revealed that 41 African countries had fewer than 2,000 working ventilators among them. Okay, so the World Health Organization, which is in short known as WHO, okay, this particular organization has conducted a survey, and they have found out that more than 41 African countries had lesser than 2,000 working ventilators in them. Okay, despite these shortcomings, Africa has not done so badly. Okay, so Africa was able to deal with the pandemic to certain good extent. Okay, why? Because Africa has earlier experienced Ebola outbreak. Okay, so with Ebola outbreak, Africa has learned how to cope up with such kind of critical situation. So that's why Africa was able to strengthen its community community networks to to actually deal with the COVID-19 situation. Okay, sadly though, with much of the world caught up in coping with the novel coronavirus, the pandemic's ill effects, flows of assistance and investment of Africa have decreased. Okay, so because of COVID-19, the kind of investment that earlier used to go to the Africa has now decreased because of COVID-19. Okay, and if we talk about the second aspect of the global competition for Africa, okay, the second aspect is highlighted. The first aspect was highlighted by the World Health Organization survey that talked about that like very less number of working ventilators were available to 41 African countries. If we talk about the second issue, so it is highlighted by a recent Gateway House study. Okay, what is the name of that particular study? The name of that study is Engagement of External Powers in Africa, Takeaways for India. Okay, it showed Africa experienced a sharpened international competition known as the third scramble in the first 2 decades of the 21st century. Okay, so this particular study that was conducted by Gateway House study, name of the study is external like engagement of external powers in Africa, takeaways for India. Okay, this has talked that like Africa is witnessing a competition, okay, like from foreign players, and this is being termed as the third scramble, and it has happened in the last 2 decades, means in the last 20 years. Okay, so what has happened in the last 20 years? A dozen of nations from Americas, Europe and Asia have striven to assist Africa in resolving, okay, the continent's political and social challenges, and in turn to benefit the Africa's market, minerals, hydrocarbons and oceanic sources, and thereby to expand their political influence. Okay, so recently what has been witnessed, that many nations from the Americas, Europe and Asia, they have come forward to assist, to help Africa in various areas. What are those areas? Political and social challenges. Okay, so Africa has been facing a lot of political and social challenges. So that's why many of these countries from Americas, Europe and Asia have come forward to help Africa. Why they are helping Africa? Because so that in turn they can get benefits from the Africa's market, because Africa has a huge population. So population actually needs consumer goods. So that becomes a market for other countries. Okay, so they want to get benefited from Africa's markets, minerals and hydrocarbons and oceanic resources, and thereby these countries, like these countries from America, Europe and Asia, they want to expand their geopolitical influence in the African continent. Okay, so a mix of competition and contestation involving traditional and new players, especially United States, okay, United States, the European Union, China, Japan and India has attracted much attention from governments, media and academia. Okay, so China has successfully helped Africa during the COVID-19 by sending vaccines to them, but like India's vaccine diplomacy did not work properly with Africa. Okay, so this has been suggested by some of the scholars, foreign scholars. So what is the role that India can play in this particular regard? Okay, so what role can India play? One of the thing is India has started playing its role in African continent. Okay, that role is being orchestrated by the External Affairs Minister of India. He is Mr. S. Jaishankar. Okay, he has visited on 19th May. Okay, and during the UN Security Council's open debate on conflict and post-pandemic recovery in Africa. Okay, so the External Affairs Minister of India has talked about what should be the stand for Africa from India's side, and how should Africa tackle with its challenges, challenges that it faces in its continent. So apart from this, the External Affairs Minister has visited Kenya during June 12 to 14. That has helped re-establish communication with Africa at a political level. Okay, I have already discussed that we have already conducted the 3rd India-Africa Forum Summit in 2015, and the 4th summit, the 4th summit, which is pending since last year, should be held as soon as possible, even if in a virtual format. Okay, so the author says that without new commitments, India's Africa policy would be like a car running on a near empty fuel tank. Okay, means if you are not having a renewed commitment towards Africa, if you are not having a renewed vigor towards Africa, then it will be similar to running a car without having a fuel in it. Okay, so that was what the ambassador has said. Okay, so why Africa works as an area with promise? Okay, because the promotion of economic relations demands a higher priority. Okay, promotion of economic relations with Africa demands a higher priority. Industry representatives should be consulted about their grievances and challenges in the COVID-19 era, and it is essential to impart a 21st century complexion to the partnership with Africa. Okay, if we are to maintain partnership with Africa, we have to have the 21st century complexion to the partnership with Africa. Means we need to renew it, we need to make it more modern, we need to have renewed vigor towards Africa. Okay, as the above mentioned study argues, and this means developing and deepening collaborations in health, space and digital technologies. Okay, and finally, to overcome China challenge in Africa, increased cooperation between India and its international allies rates priority. Okay, so we need to have increased cooperation with of India with Africa and international allies. Allies means friends. Okay, in foreign policy. Okay. So the recent India-European Union summit has identified Africa as a region where partnership-based approach will be followed. Okay, so partnership-based approach will be followed in Africa. Okay. Similarly, when the first in-person summit of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue Powers is held in Washington, a robust partnership plan for Africa should be announced. Okay, so the author is saying, so when we are going to have the first in-person, summit, means like till now, the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue has been working as an informal, grouping. But now, for the first time, we are going to have in-person summit. And the author is suggesting that in this particular summit, India should, put forward a partnership plan for Africa, and it should be announced over there. Okay, for it to be ready in time, work by Quad planners need to be begin today. Okay, so like for this particular plan to work, the actual work should start, today itself. Okay, we should start planning for it today, so that that can be implemented when the time comes. Okay, so with this, we have come to the last topic for the day. This is equally important as the previous article, and this is a very, in-depth article. It was written by one of the professor from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU. Okay, so that professor has, highlighted the economic situation in rural India. Okay, so this particular article becomes very important because UPSC now focuses on, like rural India, Panchayati Raj, building, rural areas. Okay, so this article is very important in that perspective. Let us see, like, what is the importance. This particular article is important for the means examination under Indian economy section. Okay, so this article says that the rural economy can jump start a revival. Okay, that the rural economy can jump start a revival. Okay, so the author is saying that the government needs to reverse its neglect and policy missteps as a key indicator show the sector has resilience. Okay, here what happened in this particular article, the thing is, you might have witnessed that during the COVID-19 situation, when like we witnessed the first nationwide lockdown in India, most of the industries, okay, most of the companies, industries, that were earlier working very properly, okay, they have gone to a shutdown. Okay, so with this, many people have lost their jobs. Okay, so the urban economy was totally devastated because of COVID-19 situation. So when the urban economy was in a devastating situation, the rural economy was resilient. It was able to withstand the pressure of COVID-19. Not only it was able to self-sustain itself, it was also able to give support to those people who were migrating back to their villages. Okay, so many people in the urban areas who were daily wage laborers, they lost their jobs. Okay, and now they did not have any other support than going back to their villages. Okay, so when they started going back to the villages, the rural economy was able to support those people. Okay, and rural economy was resilient to the to the kind of fluctuation that we have seen in the Indian economy during COVID-19. And the thing is, like rural economy, although it was resilient, it has grown during the COVID-19 period itself. Okay, it has grown to a significant level. And if we see the Indian economy, okay, so over the past 5 years, the Indian economy has been going to a slowdown. Means like we have witnessed a gradual decrease in the GDP of Indian economy. Okay, so although the Indian economy GDP was going down, since 2016 we have seen a slowdown in the economy, and especially before the COVID-19. In 2019 itself, the urban sectors, multiple industries in urban sectors have witnessed a slowdown. So overall GDP was going low. At that point of time also, the rural economy was flourishing. It was growing at a faster pace. Okay, so now through this article, the author is suggesting that like although the the rural economy was resilient enough, but the thing is like the government of India has not done enough, okay, to support the rural economy, because like rural economy still supports those migrant laborers who have went back to their hometowns, Okay, now these people do not have job, and there is a high demand of job under the NAREGA scheme also, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under that act, we are witnessing a huge demand for work from the rural areas. But the thing is, Government of India has not done much to support those people who have lost their jobs. Okay, so now what the Government of India needs to do? Government of India needs to relook its strategy towards the rural sector, towards the rural areas for job creation, and also revival of the shattered economy in those areas as well. Okay, so in the rural area, although like it was able to withstand the pressure, but now now it is witnessing a lot of pressure. Okay, so the Government of India needs to relook towards its policy. Although like Government of India has announced lakhs of crores of packages, but these packages were solely on monetary basis. I mean, like Government of India has announced monetary compensation to people. So there was very less policy level framework changes. So at this point of time, it is important that the Government of India understands the importance of the rural sector of the economy. Not only rural sector, but like it also needs to come up with a framework for the rural economy, so that like rural economy also flourishes, so that people who are demanding job, they should be getting certain kind of job, so that they can support themselves and they can survive during this particular situation where we can witness a third wave of COVID-19. Okay, so and this article also puts forward some factual data. Like last month, the National Statistical Office has released the estimates of the Indian gross domestic product growth for the fiscal year 2020 to 21, and it has showed that the decline in GDP at 7.3% was slightly better than the expectation, even though this is a gross underestimate of the reality, given the methodological issue of underestimation of the economic distress in the unorganized sector. Okay, so there is lot that the author has talked through this particular article. So this article also highlights what are those things that are making the things worse. Okay, so what the author suggests, that what makes the Indian economy recovery challenging is that decline followed by 3 years of sharp decline in GDP even before novel coronavirus. Okay, so economic growth has already decelerated. Okay, so that's why apart from this, it also says like why the agriculture sector in the Indian economy worked as a key driver. Okay, so in your free time, just just go through these slides one by one. We are going to share these slides in our Telegram channel. Okay, we have a Telegram channel, LUKMAAN IAS Current Affairs and General Studies type. Okay, so just search LUKMAAN IAS. There will be a Telegram channel that says Current Affairs, and just join that channel. You will be able to access this particular PDF. We are going to share these PDF. We are actually sharing such PDFs with our students on a regular basis. So you should just go through this PDF, and you will be able to read it. Apart from this, this particular article also talks about the threat posed by the inflation. Since the inflation is going high and the rural sector is witnessing hike in prices of those essential items that are essential for for agriculture sector also. What are those items? One of the input is diesel. Okay, so price of diesel has gone really high, okay, in the recent days. Okay, so so the agriculture sector witnesses witnesses threat because of inflation. Okay, so despite these setbacks, the rural economy, including agricultural economy, continues to remain crucial for any strategy of economic revival. Okay, and the author also says that at the same time, rural areas will also need greater fiscal support, both in terms of direct income support to revive the demand in the economy, but also through various subsidies and protection from the rising inflation in the input prices. Okay, so these support should be provided by the Government of India as soon as possible, so that the rural economy can survive during this challenging time. Okay, so that's all that I want to discuss with you for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending the session. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.